Speaking of left-wing liars, the advanced placement board, the college board, they're just liars. They lie on the regular. They lie routinely. So they lied about their AP African American history course in Florida, suggesting that it couldn't even be taught in Florida because you can't teach black history in Florida. It's just crap. It's not true at all. Well, now the College Board has announced that it's going to pull its AP psychology class from Florida schools. It's not Florida banning the AP psychology class. Okay, Florida did not do that. It is the College Board saying, we can't teach our AP psychology class in Florida schools. They said, quote, Florida Department of Education has effectively banned AP psychology in the state by instructing Florida superintendents that teaching foundational content on sexual orientation and gender identity is illegal under state law. That is a lie. Here's what the Florida Department of Education says, quote, just 1 week before school starts, the College Board is attempting to force school districts to prevent students from taking the AP Psych course. The other advanced course providers, including the International Baccalaureate program, had no issue providing the college credit psychology course. So it's the AP that is removing the course, not Florida. Florida did not say you can't teach AP. AP said you can't teach AP in Florida. Why? Well, according to the AP standards on psychology, one of these standards is describe how sex and gender influence socialization and other aspects of development, and also articulate the impact of social and cultural categories on self-concept and relations with others. Now, there's nothing there that says that you have to teach a bunch of weird gender theory garbage. You could not, right? You could just teach that sex, of course, impacts socialization because girls are girls and boys are boys. And gender is deeply connected with sex. You could totally teach that in the context of the AP Psych course. But what AP is saying is that we don't want you to teach that. What we actually want you to teach is this gender-oriented nonsense. And thus, if you won't teach it, we'll pull it. So as a columnist for The Federalist points out, the College Board is equating the limits placed on teaching these two skills with removing a cornerstone of the course. This is like saying that neglecting to explain all the unconventional ways punctuation is used for rhetorical purposes somehow makes the whole class illegitimate. And the real reason for this is because the APA, the American Psychological Association, which has always been and is a deeply, deeply partisan political organization, groups like that are arguing that AP Psych should actually include more content about gender and sexuality. The APA CEO, Arthur Evans, has, quote, an advanced placement course that ignores the decades of science studying sexual orientation and gender identity would deprive students of knowledge they will need to succeed in their studies in high school and beyond. So first of all, I guarantee you that what they're teaching in AP Psych does not actually reflect the best science. I promise you. Because the best science says, with regard to, for example, sexual orientation, that there is no genetic marker for sexual orientation. That is what the actual science says right now. There is no clear and convincing genetic marker for sexual orientation. That is what a study of hundreds of thousands of human genomes by the Human Genome Project found. Will that appear in the AP Psych course? I have serious doubts that will appear because it conflicts with their entire narrative. How about gender identity? There is none convincing science that there's something called a female brain in a male body. That is a myth. That is a Gnostic myth. It does not exist in science because no one can actually label what a female brain looks like in a male body because the brain is part of the body. It's nonsense. Will they teach it anyway? That's what they want to teach. When you're running a business, your employees can create all kinds of interesting situations. This is why you need to talk to Bambi. Bambi gives you access to your own dedicated HR manager starting just $99 per month. This person is available to you by phone, email, real-time chat. They'll help you run employee onboardings, terminations, and performance reviews. With Bambi's HR autopilot feature, you can automate important HR practices like setting policies, employee training, and feedback procedures as well. All of Bambi's HR managers are based in the United States and can support the nuances across all 50 states. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 per year. Bambi starts at just $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today. See how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now. Type Ben Shapiro under podcast when you sign up. It's spelled BAMBEE.com. Bambi.com and type in Ben Shapiro. My business partners and I, we frequently talk about the fact that when our employees commit sins, we are the ones who pay the penalty. Well, that's why we have HR, to prevent that sort of stuff from happening. You need HR as well. Go to Bambi.com right now. Type Ben Shapiro under podcast when you sign up. It's spelled BAMBEE.com, Bambi.com. Type in Ben Shapiro to get started and to get your business protected today. Is that dark spot on your face still bugging you? How about the liver spots on your hands, neck, and chest? Well, you can watch those disappear safely and quickly in 3 minutes. Introducing the Genusol Dark Spot Corrector, their 3-step, 3-minute dark spot luxury system. It does exactly what it sounds like, corrects those dark spots by using their Cristal's microdermabrasion before the dark spot corrector and then finishing with a touch of the collagen building Genusol 15. You'll see dark spots disappear before your very eyes. We're talking instantly, smoothly, luxuriously. You don't have to take my word for it. If you're not blown away with the results, 100% money back guarantee, free shipping, free returns. All 3 products are included in Genusol's most popular package for August. So you get your Genusol bags and puffiness serum also included for 70% off retail. Head on over to genucell.com/Shapiro. Order the new dark spot treatment system today. Say goodbye to those pesky spots tomorrow. That's genucell.com/Shapiro. So Florida's just saying that we can't actually teach that stuff. And the AP is saying, well, you must teach that stuff. So is that Florida's fault or is that the AP's fault? Again, Florida didn't ban the AP course. AP banned the AP course. So stop blaming Florida for actually making sure that its kids aren't indoctrinated. Instead, blame the AP for attempting to indoctrinate the kids. Okay, time for some things I like and then some things that I hate. So things that I like today. So there is a book that was enormous in the 1970s. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It was written by a guy who used to be sort of an English composition professor and then got very into psychology, went to University of Chicago. This book sold just millions and millions of copies, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's one of my dad's favorite books. I first read it when I was in my teens. I reread it like this week because he kept talking about it. I was like, I don't really remember it that well. The book by Robert Pirsig received 120 rejections before it was actually published. Its initial sales were at least 5 million copies worldwide. At this point, probably it sold twice that. It's which makes it, by the way, the single best-selling psychology book probably in human history. You haven't heard of it because you didn't grow up in the 70s. The book in the 70s was perceived as an attack on conservatism. It is not. It is a deeply conservative book. So basically what the book is, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, is it's a story about the author and his son taking a motorcycle trip across the country. And it's interspersed with his flashbacks to his days in psychology because it turns out that he had an actual psychological break and he was hospitalized and giving like electrotherapy and all of this. And so it's a travelogue interspersed with philosophical musings and investigations into what it was that made him go crazy about philosophy in the first place. Well, the book says a lot of the same sort of stuff that like Jordan Peterson says now. So a lot of the book is about the magic of fixing his motorcycle. Basically, you don't have to be, by the way, like a motorcycle enthusiast to actually enjoy this sort of stuff. I'm not. And again, what I actually do enjoy is what he calls in the book quality. So the central idea of the book is that there is this thing called quality. You know what it is, I know what it is, and it's undefinable. And when you try to define quality in any particular situation, you're going to have a very hard time categorizing quality. But you know what it is, right? You know, down in the cockles of your own heart, that Beethoven is higher quality than Cardi B. Everyone knows that. And any attempt to say that that's not true, everyone knows is crap. Everybody knows that it's bull crap. It's postmodernist nonsense. And so what he says is that this quality has been lost. Why has it been lost? And he breaks it down into Greek philosophy, and he basically says that there was an attempt to separate off the true from the good. And that was because if there was no way to define the good, then presumably truth could get lost. But what Pirsig says is we should stop running away from the undefined term. Stop pretending that you can define a term that you can't define, like quality or the good. Because that is the thing that actually drives human beings. And you can pretend that you can categorize it, that you can nail it down like a butterfly on a piece of paper, but you can't actually do that. You know what it is in your heart? Because that is the way that we interact with the universe, is through the prism of that good, of that quality. And it's not entirely, quote unquote, subjective. It is between you and the world. That's why there's widespread agreement on what amounts to quality in a wide variety of areas across human life. Now, what he kind of hints at it, but what he doesn't actually say is that good, that quality is God, right? That system of values is in fact the divine. And that is how we interact with the world, is through that prism. That's what religion fills the gap of. He comes very close to basically saying that in the book, but he doesn't quite say that. But the book is really a much earlier version of make it red. There is such a thing as a higher value, and that higher value is the thing that orients you. That science is not that higher value because science has no values, because the empirical cannot actually cannot bridge what they call the is-ought gap from things around you in the universe, in the physical universe, to what you ought to do. And what he says is that's an artificial gap in the first place, because the way that you actually address the world is always going to be oriented through a particular perspective of quality. Like you as a human being, again, a point that my friend Jordan Peterson makes all the time, you as a human being, when you take in your sense perceptions around the world, you are discriminating among sense perceptions. You're not taking in everything around you at an equal rate. If you did, you'd go crazy very, very quickly. Which means there's automatically an orientation process that is happening between you and the universe. And that orientation process, says Pirsig, is quality. And that bridge, it puts back together the true and the good. Because it turns out that they are, in fact, enmeshed with one another. Because you can't actually see the true unless you acknowledge the good. So the book is well worth the read. It's really kind of riveting reading, philosophically speaking. I highly recommend it. Robert Pirsig's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.